everybody, and welcome to another episode of Landscape Marketing Secrets. Today, I'm very excited to bring you an old friend of mine who's now a new friend once again, and that's Mr. Jeff Gutowski from Break the Image. Hi, Jeff.
Hi. Thanks for having me on, Laura.
Oh, I'm so excited. So as you know, we're going to do a two-part series today and next week on the secret to both SEM, which is search engine marketing, and SEO, which is search engine optimization. So today we are going to talk about search engine marketing, SEM, which, as I told you, I remember by calling it search engine money because that's the part you pay for.
Yep, absolutely.
So let's go back a little step. I mean, my gosh, I think I met you 6 years ago at least.
Yep, it was before the world went crazy. Yes.
Seriously. So tell us a little bit about you and your background and how you got into what you're doing.
So my background, in college, I had a degree for business and went into the mortgage business outside of that because that was back in 2008, 2009 when anyone that had a pulse could get a mortgage and the money was too attractive to pass up. As 2009 came around, I started doing websites as a hobby for myself because that's part of the computer programming classes I took in college that I really enjoyed.
Okay.
It got to a point where my wife sat down and had a conversation with me and said, "You're working in the mortgage business from 9 to 5. You're coming home eating dinner and working on websites in the evening. You need to make a choice.
Pick one.
On what you want to do to pick one."
That sounds familiar with every entrepreneur, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the difference between me and other entrepreneurs, I had the supportive spouse who actually pulled the trigger at that point and kind of pushed me off the edge, where most entrepreneurs do not have the support on that side. So I was in a little bit of a unique situation. And I'm going into year number 10 in doing the websites, SEO, SEM, marketing stuff. And through a lot of lessons, we're still here working with a pretty decent client base.
And you came back into my life, if you will, through Tom Smith, and it was funny. I was interviewing him a few weeks ago, and he was talking about this great guy. And I'm like, wait, Jeff, I know him. I'm like, that's weird. Like, I think he built my website years ago. So right. It's funny. And then I found out you do work for a decent amount of pond people. And then that struck my interest even more. And I ended up not only hiring you, but saying, you got to be on my podcast.
Love it.
So let's get to it. Oh, go ahead.
It's a small world in that community. And I can tell you that the majority of people that I work with in that space, they're all very, very driven, right? Like they take direction and they do what needs to be done. And that's probably one of the major aspects of SEM that people don't talk about, right? Where I'm going to give you a roadmap on what you need to follow, but I don't take the I'm going to do everything for you approach.
Right.
I take the I'm going to do everything with you approach, because a lot of people and most of your audience will probably relate to this. When you hire a company to do your marketing, it quickly turns into a Wizard of Oz relationship where you are the guy behind the curtain that's doing all of this stuff and you have no idea really what's happening. You just know the phone may be ringing, maybe not ringing at certain points. I take the approach where if you go out to wherever your coffee spot is and you sit down and you say, "What's this guy Jeff doing for you?" You should be able to articulate exactly what I'm doing for you at every step of the way based on conversations that we're having at that point.
And that's huge because, like you said, a lot of people, it's kind of plug and play. And is it working? I don't know. Is this working? I don't know. I mean, you're paying money for it? Yeah. But you're right. Our heads are in so many different places as business owners. It's hard to know to follow up with everything correctly, especially if the information is not being given to us.
Absolutely. And the majority of businesses have a team that is already in place handling certain aspects of things. The majority of people that come into my space is because maybe pay-per-click marketing, or SEM as we refer to it, is not working correctly. So they're either coming to me or they're a business that has never stuck their foot in the Google paid ads sandbox, and they want to at this point. But the biggest thing for those relationships is everyone has to work together.
Right.
So if you have an SEO company, great. If you have an SEM company, great. If you have a website designer, that's great. All of those people need to talk. And maybe that's not a conference call every single week, but they need to know each other so that they can reach out and make sure that we're sharing assets. Because at the end of the day, everybody wants the company to win, or they should want the company to win, or they should want the company to win. If they're not on that page, then relationships need to be evaluated on a different level.
So let's take a step back for a moment. We talked about SEM means search engine marketing. Now, like you said, I've heard this called pay-per-click. I've heard it called Google Ads.
Yep.
And I'm sure other stuff too, but they all mean the same thing, correct?
They do. And it really is kind of a pick your poison, flavor of the month type of thing, whatever you want to refer to it. Mainly what I focus on, especially in, like we talked about, in the pond companies, would be the Google pay-per-click, which
and
is
landscaping
Google Ads.
too, correct?
Yep, and landscaping, and those are really service-based businesses. So a lot of people, it's either social media ads that you're in that pool, or it's Google more direct ads, and it's a different relationship with a client. So and a lot of people don't do this, but when you're looking at doing ads, step outside of your business owner role and step into the I'm looking for a service role. And maybe it's landscaping, maybe it's not, maybe it's something else. But just go through your own type of scenario on how you search for certain things. If you're on Facebook and you're probably looking at it on this when you're not supposed to be, you're looking to check out of life for a certain thing, you're scrolling through, you're not necessarily looking for a direct service. You may see a Facebook ad that says, okay, that's something I'll check out, but your intent in going on Facebook at that time wasn't to look for that service. If you go to Google and you type in something in the search bar, you are a different mentality of a buyer than someone that's just scrolling through Facebook, because you're looking for a specific service at that time.
And the way I explain it, and that's exactly right, is like Facebook is almost aspirational, and it's ideas and it's things that kind of, wow, that's cool. Where Google, like you said, is where I go to search for information for, to solve a problem.
Yep. Absolutely.
I'm not going to Facebook to solve a problem. I'm going to Facebook to see what the girl from high school, it's doing now.
Absolutely.
I'm going, I don't even remember her from high school. Why in God's name am I liking her post? But you're right. And then you see, I get a lot of clothing ads because I really like to shop. But again, that's different than me searching for something. I can choose when I see a clothing ad, oh, I'm interested or I'm not. I'm not going to Google and saying, I need a skirt. Don't you love how everything's a clothing analogy with me? But
I love it.
So that's kind of the difference. Why would people, and we'll just delve into this a tiny bit because I know it's not really the point, but why would you recommend, or maybe you won't, doing Facebook ads over Google ads?
I think that you have to have both.
Okay.
I think that in order for the machine to be well oiled, you have to have both, because your job as a company is, how do I stay top of mind with people?
Right.
And in landscaping, unless you have an immediate need, which your grass is a train wreck, or you have an HOA that's sending you letters, most of that stuff is not an immediate, I need you out here today need. Most of that is, I'm looking for something to take this off of my plate. Or in the pond installation side, it's, I've saved up my money to create my backyard vision. It's not I'm ready to pick up the phone and have you out here to install a pond tomorrow.
Right. However, the maintenance side is
yes.
My fish are dying. My waterfall broke. My pump died. Yes. So that's.
Yeah, absolutely. But even then on the maintenance side, you're going to go to Google and you're going to type in, how to save my koi fish, how to get algae out of my pond.
Right.
Because especially in today's economic conditions, people are going to overthink their ability.
Right.
They're going to say, okay, I have overgrown algae, overgrown plants. My fish are not healthy. I can do this myself.
Yeah.
So it's our job from a Google ad perspective to educate them on why they don't want to do it themselves and how much additional money it's going to cost them if they attempt to do that.
So you're saying if someone's looking to build a new pond or build a sitting wall or a patio, they might be looking at Facebook for ideas as well as Google to find direct people.
I think they'd be looking at both.
Okay.
And you also have to keep in mind that in today's society now more than ever, people are squirrels, which means they have very, very little attention.
Yep.
So if I click on a Google ad and say, okay, form pops up, I'm going to fill out this quote form, then I get a phone call from Aunt Martha about something, I'm not going back and filling out that form.
Right.
If I don't have my marketing set up in a way where they're seeing me again on either Facebook or Google display ads, they may simply forget. And it's not that they don't want to do business with me. It's that 1,000 other things happened in the 3 hours since they forgot to fill out that form. They've moved on to the next thing. And the next company, if you don't have a full range marketing plan set up, is getting their business.
I was just going to say, and that's what I have to give myself a little kudos here, but that's the benefit of email marketing too.
Absolutely.
Because like I said, one of my things is we've never gotten a call in years that says, "Are you guys still in business?"
Right.
Phew, because people get those calls, and that's the worst call you can get.
Well, it's either they get those calls or they're at the family reunion or high school reunion, and it's, I didn't know you did that.
Right. Thanks.
Right. And
Yep.
that's where it is. And that's what staying top of mind is, not just one area.
Right.
It's all areas, because we don't get to pick and choose how people consume content.
Right.
We only
It'd be
get to choose
nice
that we're providing the content.
in many different ways for wherever your attention span flies for that second.
Absolutely.
Clothing. As soon as we hang up, all my Facebook ads are going to be clothing, right? Just nonstop.
Yes, absolutely.
So let me ask you 2 questions about this. The first one is, and I can't wait to see your face with this because I can only imagine.
Love it.
How do you feel about people that say, "I can do this myself cheaper. I can do my own Google ads / pay-per-click"? I knew it.
So my question back to them would be, why haven't you? Right? Because the truth is, what I do, you can learn on the internet. You can learn by trial and error. You can spend thousands of dollars and do it yourself, or you can entrust someone to do it for you and you focus on doing what you're good at. Now, a lot of people want to stick their toe in the sand and see
Yeah.
what it's about. And
Yeah.
that's why I love doing the do it with you approach
Okay.
and not doing it for you approach, because I want to show you the value of the money that you're spending on a monthly basis and what I'm doing for you. And
Okay.
then we get to a point where you trust me that I'm doing it, and we're having conversations here and there about changes that I want to make and what I want to recommend. But that has to be a two-way relationship, because the
Okay.
majority of people out there have either tried to do it on their own or they've gotten burnt over by another company. So they come in with some skepticism because they try to do it on their own. It doesn't work because they don't know the keywords to target. They
Right.
don't know how to set up retargeting campaigns. They're spending all of this money. And the thing that I get a lot is the Google recommendations. I just click on those. You guys have to understand that Google is going to give you recommendations based on what Google is going to make money on, right? They're in a business to make money. The recommendations have to make sense.
Right.
So when you first set up your ad campaign, it's going to walk you through a tutorial that sets up everything to maximize a budget for Google to make the most money. And that's hard for a lot of people to understand until they step back and see that Google's a business owner. I want to make money as a business owner too.
And that's really important what you're saying, because it's true that I'd rather make money at what I'm good at and hire someone like you to do the stuff I'm not an expert at.
Sure. And learn a little bit about the process along
Oh
the way.
yeah, I think it's really interesting, but don't worry, I don't want to do it because
Right.
that's not my specialty. And sure, if I put hours and hours and hours into learning it, but then I'm not doing what I need to be doing to grow my business.
Sure.
So then the second question I had for you, which is something you and I talked about for a minute offline, is I had done a recent podcast with Tom Smith, and you mentioned 2 people reached out to you and you decided to work with one and not with the other. So what is it that you're not looking for in a client, and what can't you do for people?
I'll tell you, I think that every entrepreneur goes through this journey where when you first start your business, you take on any client.
Okay.
And you don't have a really pre-screening process. And I will tell you that the majority of clients think that pay-per-click marketing, SEM, is a holy grail of some sorts, right? Where it's going to fix all of the problems.
Going to save you.
Yep. It's going to save me. It's going to get me business overnight, which in some cases, you launch a Google ad today, it can get you business overnight. But if you have a consultation call with me, the first thing I'm going to ask you about is your process. Okay. So I call you, I want to do business with you, go. What do you do? And what is the process? And if I go to your website and I fill out a quote form, what happens? And we'll talk through your process. And then I'm going to look at certain analytics on your website to say, how many forms are you getting filled out now? Out of those forms, how many of them are converting? And if you're getting X number of forms and you're not converting them and you're telling me they're from the right audience, I'm going to say that there's something in your process that is broken. And I'm not going to take on a client with a broken process where me adding more leads is just putting those leads into a broken process.
Okay.
You need to fix your process at that point, because doing more of that, it's like the definition of insanity, or whatever we want to, cliche we want to throw at it. But more business isn't what you need. You need to fix your process at that point.
And I think my guess is, because same with me in email marketing, is I don't want to work with people that want me to save them,
Sure.
because that's stressful and it's not going to work. Like you said, business and marketing is about many different things, and you can't rely on one thing to quote unquote save your business in a week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The biggest thing that if SEM is something that you're interested in, or it's on your radar, and a lot of people have fear right now because they think it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
It's not. You can do a $500 a month budget and gradually fine tune that. And as you see an ROI on that $500, increase it.
Okay.
And that's the other piece too. It's, you have to make sure that you're increasing it as you're getting results. But if you want to, go to Google Chrome, open an incognito window, search for your service, add the words "near me," and look at what your competitors are doing. Because that's exactly what I'm going to do when I'm setting up a campaign. If
Okay.
you're not running Google ads at all, I'm going to sit down and look at, okay, what do we have to compete with?
Right.
Because your budget is going to be based on what your competitors are spending. Because just think, like you use the clothing example. If you're looking for a new skirt for a dinner date, you're looking at the top 2, maybe 3 ads. You're not going to the bottom of the page,
Right.
and you're not going to page 2 unless you have a particular company in mind that you're doing business with. And if that's the case, you're not looking at ads anyway. You're looking for the company.
And that's, it's so funny you're saying this, because I'm obsessed with Nordstrom Rack. I lost a lot of weight recently. I lost 75 pounds in 9 months.
Awesome.
And now
Awesome.
I just really love shopping. So
I love
what's
it.
cool about Facebook is most of the time I am not in my mind looking for clothing, but then I'm like, ooh, that's a cute dress. So the same
Yep.
thing, like you're saying, it keeps reminding me, oh yeah, you do like shopping for cute clothes, but I'm not searching. It's coming to me in an aspirational way. And that's why you need both.
You are the dream analytic for an advertiser, because you interact with ads and allow us from an advertising perspective to quote unquote stalk you.
Right.
And
And I
there's a
have
lot of
done it.
negativity about that.
Oh my God. Yeah. They know everything. And I've done it the other way too, where I'm like cute dresses just to see what comes up.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
And then you're right. I look at the top 5 and I'm like, oh, I didn't think of Saks Fifth Avenue off the rack Saks or whatever it's called. I'm like, ooh, so then it goes down a hole.
Yep.
Now, something else, and I'm not sure whether you call this SEO or SEM, but I've noticed that Google has changed things. Now there's no first page of Google.
Yep. Yep.
What's up with that?
So and it's going to completely change. There's a lot of competition right now in the AI space.
Mhm.
And if that's not something that you dabble in, I challenge you to do your own research before you have a conversation with another party that may be jaded about certain things. But there's a lot of competition between companies that are out there. Google is using AI as part of their search platform right now, which, regardless whether you think it's good or bad, it's coming,
there.
and
Yeah.
it's here to stay. So what shows up on the first page of Google is going to change almost monthly now at this point. And that's where it circles back to SEM is not a fix-all.
Okay.
It's not. You have to have an approach where you have all areas firing on all cylinders. And yes, that is a lot. I get it. But you also have to have a game plan where you're not sitting there putting 7 irons in the fire and none of them are lit. You have to make sure that you attack these things in priority order. So what's going to make you the most ROI is putting your name in front of people when they're searching for that specific service. That would be SEM. But if you don't have a process in the back end after you capture that lead to fix it, you're wasting your money at that point.
Right. Because you're just building up leads when you don't know how to get in touch with people. You don't have a lead system. You don't have a CRM. You don't have, I know people that put things on little pieces of paper. I'm like, oh God, that answer the phone in their car. I'm like, oh, no. You're like, yep, you've heard that.
No, absolutely. And that's the reality for a lot of people in the space, because they think that that's the normal way of doing business.
Now, I'm a moderator on Landscape Business Owners. which is a Facebook page of 12,000 people. And I can't tell you how many people, when I ask or someone else asks about marketing, they're like, I do social media.
Sure.
And that's it. That's their answer. So what you're saying is that might be part of it. And it's like two different ways I think of it. One is a quiver where you
Sure.
need to have different types of quivers. And I have my master's in integrated marketing communications. And we used to joke that the answer is advertising. Now, what's the question?
Yep.
And you
Yep.
can't just have one answer. So what do you think of people that just say they just do social media?
I think that people that just do social media are leaving a lot of money on the table.
Okay.
And I think that our society right now, you have a certain segment of society, and regardless of flavor of the month, whether it's politics or whatever it may be, there's a lot of people that don't want to be on social media right now.
Right.
There's a lot of people that look at it and I'm done. I'm putting this away for a little while. Like the amount of social media detoxes that I've heard from people has gone through the roof. So you don't have a right, again, I think I said this earlier, you don't have a right to pick and choose how someone consumes content. You just need to focus on putting the content out there.
And I think that's a really good point, because something I tell people is, know your audience. I just did a podcast last week on avatars and
Yep.
customer avatars. And a lot of people, our clients are wealthy. Our clients are older. Our
Yep.
clients might not be on Instagram 24 hours a day.
Yep.
And, our clients use Facebook more because they're older, and us old people like Facebook.
Yep.
But, and I love TikTok too, but it's, not my customer, like you said, may not be on social media, but they may be on Google searching for things.
Sure. And Google has done a phenomenal job building that trust factor with people.
Yeah.
People think that because you Google it, it shows up, it's gospel.
Especially if it's on the first page, which now everything is.
Yep.
I thought that was pretty slick of Google. Now it just goes as one giant.
It's an endless scroll.
Yeah, which is weird, but good, I guess, because you never end up on the second page.
Yeah.
So 2 more questions about this. The first one is, you mentioned that budget. So I know another SEO company that says you need to start at 2,000, and you're saying that's not necessarily true.
No, I don't think that that's necessarily true. In order to give you what the budget would be, I would need to pull reports and look at what your competitors are spending. Because if your competitors aren't spending $2,000 a month, there's no need for you to spend $2,000 a month.
Okay. Now I'm dying to know what my competitors are spending. We'll talk about that offline. So, okay. So that's the first answer. So again, this goes back to, if you're doing it yourself and just playing, just throwing a couple $100 at something you're playing with is not necessarily going to give you good results.
Sure. No, it's not.
And you're kind of wasting your couple $100.
Absolutely, you are, because there's a lot of stuff that goes into the strategy. What keywords are you targeting? What type of demographic are you targeting? What is the landing page that you're sending people to look like? Because a lot of people, especially in the contracting space, you'll do an ad specifically for basement remodels, for instance, and you're sending people to your homepage.
Right.
Don't make people click around and find stuff. If they're clicking on an ad that is something specific, whether it's a service or a product, send them to the product or service that the ad is speaking to.
That makes a lot of sense.
People are lazy. They don't want to click around and have to find something. They want the information handed to them on a silver platter. And
let's go back to my clothing analogy, because I just can't stop. But, if I'm clicking on a picture for Nordstrom Rack of a dress, I don't want to be put into Nordstrom Rack's main page, because I'll never find that dress.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yep. So that's, okay. So that's one answer. Then the second question I had along those same lines is, what does someone want to look for? Let's say a company is ready to hire. They kind of have their shit together, if you will. They have their processes down. There are so many SEO people. I mean, landscape business owners, we're very selective about who we let. Just like 5 people are allowed to promote themselves.
Sure.
And I'd say every day I'm kicking people off because they're slick and they come in and pretend they're a landscape company. And so how do you not get screwed? And how do you know who to pick, who's right for you?
So I'm at a point right now where the majority of my client base is referral base. So I would strongly advise that if you have an SEO company, give me 5 clients that I can call and speak to and interview. And if those clients aren't willing to talk to you about the results and what they're doing, and the biggest number one thing is communication. Yeah. If you are not able to speak to somebody about what's going on, and that conversation should be very direct, not sugar-coated, not fluff, because it's great to be personal, But at the end of the day, you're hiring me to do business.
Right.
You're hiring me to get results for you. And I'm going to be very direct with you with what I need from you in order to do my job. And then if you feel that I'm not doing my job, we need to fix that communication disconnect.
So
right? Because if you've
communication
given
is
me
key.
communication is absolutely key. And then at the end of the day, it's about results
Yeah.
and about delivering those results in an accurate way. So if I'm giving you a report that says you spent $500 this month in the last 30 days, I got you 400 people to click on your website, and you're sitting there saying, well, I'm looking at my calendar and I don't have any consultations booked. Those aren't results.
Right.
That's not results. Results are, okay, you had 400 people, 17 of them filled out a consult form. I was able to book half of those jobs. Then we start talking about results. Results to me aren't people clicking on the website. I don't care if people click on the website. I care what happens with those people that click on the website.
And that's also a really good point, because you can say, I got you 400 hits or 400 views. Great. What's that do? But
Right.
that also comes down to, I think that's what you're talking about when you talk about processes and clients. I track where every lead comes from as best as we can.
Yep.
It is hard because the normal answer is online or Google or the web.
Right.
I'm like, oh,
Right.
you're killing me. And sometimes we'll ask, what words did you look for? And they don't remember.
Yep.
But it's really important, because this also shows us if we're getting referrals from landscapers, if we're getting referrals from clients, if they're past clients.
Yep.
So we actually just use a Google spreadsheet and we track as much as we can. And it's hard. We get a lot, but we have an answering service. And that's one of the questions the answering service asks right away is, how did you hear about us?
Sure. And that's important to track, but that all comes, that's a part of the process. Like, tracking is a part of the process that you have, so that you can either course correct or know where you're spending money in your marketing efforts on what's giving you the most ROI. But the majority of business owners aren't tracking that. The majority of business owners that you look at the form on the website, they don't even have a drop down for how did you hear about us.
Wow. So it's just kind of what you're saying is, no one can fix a company that has problems.
Sure, absolutely.
I mean, they can fix it. No one outside can fix it. They have to help themselves.
A third party can't come in and do that. There's a lot of internal issues there that need to be
And
fixed.
I think,
And the good thing is it's not rocket science.
Right.
It's most people don't admit that they have an issue. They think, I need more leads. I need more leads. That's the issue. Very seldom is the issue you need more leads.
As opposed to, I didn't call anyone back.
Yep.
Or I forgot to get, we have a policy, we get back if it's a weekday within 2 hours.
Love it.
So if it's a weekend, I give our office manager a break, because she's like, these 2 hours don't work on the weekend. I'm like, how about 4? And then we both laughed and we give her till Monday. But right. I think half the time she does it on the weekend anyway, but that's her choice. But that's, I think that's a red flag to look for when you're hiring someone, is if someone says they can fix your business and save you.
Yep. Yeah, no, I absolutely. The savior complex doesn't exist.
Okay.
It is false. It's not going to happen. Yes, they will get you more leads, but if the system's broken, that's not fixing a broken system.
Right. So you do believe, so what you're saying, just to, kind of finalize this, is have your system already in progress, know what you're doing, hopefully be able to track leads, have a good CRM, and then what you do complements all that, and your budget depends on what you're looking to do and who you're competing against.
Absolutely. And ask direct questions.
Yeah.
You should have a conversation. What have you done in this space? What have you done with other companies that are like mine? Because if you have somebody that is construction, pond building, and then you want to sell dresses and they're going to tell you that they're an expert in that, they're not. They're not. You can't be an expert in every area. You can't. And if there's a client that wants to hire me and I'm not an expert in that area, my conversation with you is this. I've done this for other companies. I have not done something in your niche, in your area, in the product that you're selling. I'd love to take you on. Let me do some due diligence on my research to see if it's something that I'm comfortable with.
Okay.
And most people aren't okay saying no.
Mm-hmm.
Most people in society in general can't say, I don't know, I don't understand, I'm not comfortable with that. Like, I'm not going to waste my time or your time.
And that's awesome. And I'll just give you one quick story, which, is an admitted failure on my part. So You got to admit when you fail. I hired a video company to make some videos for us. And like a total dumbass of me, they had never done this kind of stuff before. They specialized in something else. And the videos are not what we're looking for. And now it's awkward and it's frustrating and they're going back and they're redoing. But this is my fault. And it's also my fault because I didn't show them examples of what I was thinking.
Right.
So, and their examples were real estate, a whole different industry. Why did I hire them? Because they're a friend of our employees. I liked the stuff they did. They had nice work, but not realizing it had nothing to do with us.
Yep.
So I want everyone to know, even someone that has a degree in marketing and specializes in this stuff can fail at times too.
Absolutely. And I think we all do. It's a matter of how quickly do we learn that lesson? Because the lessons are going to come every day. How quickly do we learn them and move on to the next one?
So any final words? I know next time we're going to talk about search engine optimization, which is the kind of free part. But any other final words or piece of advice on search engine marketing?
I would say if it's something that you're interested in starting with, do that incognito tab in Google Chrome. Take a look at what your competitors
Now, how do you do
doing.
that? Just for people that aren't sure.
So just take your little Chrome icon on your computer, right click on that, and it says open new incognito window. The reason that you want to do an incognito window is because it eliminates anything that you've ever searched for. So it's not going to be biased, quote unquote, based on your search engine history that you have on there. So type in your service, what you provide, and then step outside of the business owner role and actually look for that service as somebody that was going to buy it. Take a look at what your competitors are doing. Take a look at the ads that they're running. Don't just look at the ads. Click on the ad. What does the landing page look like? Is it taking them to the website specifically, or is it taking them to a specific landing page?
Okay, great advice.
And then have a direct conversation with a company that you're looking for. The biggest thing I would say is ask to talk to their customers, because their customers are going to give you raw feedback.
I love it. It's brilliant. And also, if they don't have customers, ding, huge red flag.
That would be an issue.
Worked in your industry. Great.
Yep.
No, that all makes a lot of sense. So if people are looking to get in touch with you, how do they do so?
It's just breaktheimage.com, and break is BREAK, theimage.com. I'm on Facebook, all the social media channels, but you can go to breaktheimage.com. There's a consultation there. I don't charge for consultations. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Any questions that you have on the SEM side. And if it's not a fit for you, I'm going to tell you it's not a fit for you.
Yeah.
So if it is a fit, great, we'll have that conversation. But if it's not a fit for you, and Laura, I think you'll know, because you and I have had these conversations. If there's areas in your business that don't relate to SEM and we're having a conversation, I'm going to tell you that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I have to lay my head on my pillow at night, and I want to know that I impacted you, your business, your world, your community, whatever you want to say. But if there's an area that I feel you could do differently or something that you could do better, we'll have that conversation. I mean, at the end of the day, there's enough clients out there. There's enough business out there. I just want to help people win.
And my friend Tim made me feel so good yesterday when he's your client, and I was asking him about you, and he's like, oh, he doesn't take a lot of people. He's selective. And I'm like, ooh, I feel like I won.
Well, it is, because you want to make sure that the people you have in your space that you can impact. But there's also, like, I want to work with genuinely good people. Like, I want to enjoy working with who I do, and I want to celebrate wins. Like, let's have fun, but let's make money and let's get it done. And at the end of all that, like, let's change some lives on the client side as well.
I love it. I cannot wait to work with you. I can't wait to have you back to talk about the results. As always, please like, subscribe, and listen to my podcast or my YouTube channel. And you can reach me by texting me 215-805-8257. Have a great week, and I'm so excited to bring Jeff back next week. Take care.